Thank you for the opportunity to present our concerns about the Alaska Long Trail's potential designation as a National Scenic Trail. We represent local Alaskans who believe this designation will negatively impact our state. One of the key issues with designating the Alaska Long Trail as a National Scenic Trail is that the trail is governed by a federal act, the National Scenic Trails System Act. This act would allow the federal government's control over the trail. This control often results in one-size-fits-all regulations that may not take into account the unique needs and preferences of Alaskans. In December 2022, Senator Murkowski secured $500,000 for a Bureau of Land Management feasibility study. The Bureau of Land Management is currently assessing if the trail meets National Scenic Trail criteria. The final scoping report is due this year with a plan to submit to Congress by the end of 2025. Importantly, management plans that will discuss access won't be till after Congress's decision, risking conflicts that proactive plans may have prevented.
The Bureau of Land Management hosted public engagement meetings for the Alaska Long Trail feasibility study, but key areas like Talkeetna, Willow, and Nenana were completely bypassed. With only 243 attendees and poor advertisement, the meetings failed to represent the diverse interests of Alaskans, raising concerns about the inclusiveness and comprehensiveness of the public engagement process. Stated in Section 7C of the National Trail System Act, the use of motor vehicles along any national scenic trail is strictly prohibited. Any provisions for such access would have to be approved by the Secretary of Interior. U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, Title 43, concerning national scenic trails, explicitly prohibits the use of motor vehicles on these trails. Most importantly, violations of this prohibition are subject to federal penalties, highlighting significant consequences of noncompliance. The National Trail System Act uses the terms federal administration and local management. Alaskans should still be concerned because federal involvement in administering the trails could undermine local control. The designation reduces local control, placing authority with the Secretary of the Interior, known for actions against the Alaskan interest, like canceling Arctic oil leases. The BLM has emphasized designated crossings will be identified on existing motorized trails, which reflects prohibition of motor vehicles on the trail, and restrictions could harm local businesses by requiring additional permitting and a percentage of their profit. Activities like blueberry picking will even require permitting. Bureau of Land Management's off-road highway vehicle management in the Yukon-Charlie, Kenai Peninsula, East Alaska Resource Management Plan, and White Mountain are examples of federal management always being more restrictive than Alaska's off-road highway vehicle regulations.
Comparing the Alaska Long Trail to lower 48 trails with NST designation shows major differences. For the Continental Divide Trail, 70% was motorized prior to NST designation. Now only 23% is open to motorized. Efforts continue to separate hiking from multi-use trails, requiring designated crossings and reducing funds for motorized trail maintenance. Alaska harsh terrain and weather make the trail remote and challenging, posing risks for unfamiliar users. Therefore, the Alaska Long Trail shouldn't be compared to lower 48 trails. The Act allows eminent domain or condemnation to acquire private property for the trail. This power was used to complete the Appalachian Trail, forcing many owners to sell their land, resulting in legal battles and significant local opposition.
Under the Act, connecting and side trails are additional points of access. Connecting and side trails are designated by the Secretary of the Interior without congressional action. Trail corridors may be up to a quarter mile on each side of the trail. For the Alaska Long Trail, entire valleys have been blanketed with identified connecting and side trails and corridors. The federal government owns 64% of the land in Alaska. Only 36% is non-federal, and less than 1% is private. The proposed trail will dissect the only contiguous state-owned land, shown in blue, and go through the most populated private lands, shown in red, causing significant controversy.
The Copper River Railroad was donated for a federal easement after operations ceased. Using this corridor would likely face less opposition compared to the current proposed location for the Alaska Long Trail. This easement also offers a unique opportunity to develop a trail that will attract outdoor enthusiasts, preserves natural beauty, and boosts tourism in struggling economies. When comparing National Historic Trails to National Scenic Trails, the differences are clear. Historic trails like the Iditarod Trail preserve history and traditional use, allowing motorized access receives less federal funding. Scenic trails focus on preserving scenic value, often restricting traditional use. Management goals differ significantly, but both are overseen by the federal secretary. Therefore, comparing the Iditarod National Historic Trail to the Alaska Long Trail is not straightforward due to these key differences. Motorized recreation brings approximately $33 million to Alaska compared to $24.5 million from non-motorized activities. This represents 58% of the economic impact from motorized activities. Alaska could lose a significant portion of its recreational revenue, negatively impacting local businesses and communities. Motorized winter activities has seen significant growth with a 15.4% increase in 2020 and a remarkable 48.4% increase in 2021, highlighting the growing popularity of winter motorized sports in Alaska.
We propose the following actions for the public. We encourage everyone to oppose the National Scenic Trail designation that will bring in federal overreach if approved. We also recommend relocating the proposed trail to already designated federal lands. We recommend for the community to participate in public engagement and promote transparency, and most importantly, please sign our petition on our website.
Here is a list of references to support all the information in this presentation. This presentation is also available on our website. We want to thank you for your time and support. Free to reach out if you have any questions.